The film opens with the emergence of a millennia-old reincarnation, the resurrection of the ancient devil god. The arrival of the ancient devil god spells catastrophe for the human world. With its immense power, it threatens to dominate the three realms. Yet, the gods and demons are bound by an ancient oath, preventing them from interfering in the affairs of the human world. The scene then shifts to the Tian Tzu sect, located near the Wanchuan River, prepares to confront this looming threat. Though the sect is determined to stand against the ancient devil god, the cost will be steep, with many lives lost in the process. To prevent the ancient devil god from fully awakening, the sect's elders forge the Tianzi sword, a weapon imbued with the spirits of fallen sect members. This act becomes the Tian Tzu sect's last hope. Shortly afterward, the sect leader rallies his followers to defend the Wanchuan River, the very site where the ancient devil god is destined to rise. Apparently, the Wanchuan River is no ordinary place. It is said to be the boundary between the three realms and the origin of all things. As the sect gathers, the ground beneath them begins to crack, and from the fissures emerge hordes of demons, signaling the start of a brutal battle. Despite heavy casualties, the sacrifices of the sect members are not in vain. Through their collective spirit, the Tianzi sword is finally completed. At that very moment, the ancient devil god awakens. Desperate to prevent its full resurrection, the sect leader plunges the Tianzi sword into the eye of the monstrous entity. But his strike is not deep enough, and the attempt fails. Seeing her husband's efforts fall short, the sect leader's wife steps forward to continue the fight. Though she succeeds in destroying the ancient devil god, its malevolent aura begins to seep into her unborn child, as does the essence of the Tianzi sword. Months later, the sect leader's wife gives birth to a son named Shinji. Tragically, she does not survive the childbirth. In the wake of her death, Feng Mu, the sect's deputy leader, assumes temporary leadership until Shinji comes of age. Later, Feng Mu appoints Zhou Wu as his right-hand man, but his true nature soon reveals itself. Almost immediately after taking power, Feng Mu begins to eliminate those loyal to the former leader, starting with Yun King, a trusted confidant. Not only that, Feng Mu also abuses his authority by systematically removing any sect members who dare to oppose him. As a result, Zhou Wu, bound by a debt of gratitude for being saved by Feng Mu during the battle against the ancient devil god, is forced to carry out his dirty work. Not long after, Feng Mu's ambitions grow darker as he orders Zhou Wu to kill Shinji, the last remaining heir to the sect's legacy. With Shinji out of the way, Feng Mu believes he can claim the title of sect leader without challenge. However, his plans are thwarted when his subordinates report that Yun King has fled with Shinji and the Tianzi sword. Time passed, and for 20 years, Yun King remained in hiding, protecting the last surviving descendant of the long lineage. Eventually, he succumbed to old age and passed away. Now, Shinji had grown into adulthood and was capable of wielding the Tianzi sword. Before his death, Yun King summoned So Chom and Su Er to deliver an urgent message. The demon residing within Shinji had fully merged with him. If the demonic aura consumed his heart, the ancient devil god would be reborn. The only way to suppress this dark force was to find the half-step celestial book, hidden deep within the Ghost Valley across the Chor River. As they made their way past the Wanchuan River, Feng Mu, who had long been searching for Shinji, finally tracked him down using the mirror of space and time. Without delay, he traveled to the Wanchuan River to meet Zhou Wu, who was already waiting there. At that moment, Feng Mu revealed to Zhou Wu that his mission was to kill Shinji as soon as he arrived at the location. However, considering that Shinji now wielded the Tianzi sword and harbored a formidable demonic aura, Feng Mu doubted that Zhou Wu would be able to defeat him. To ensure success, John suggested that Zhou Wu utilize the spirit of an ancient painting demon, sealed away years ago. By using the painting, Zhou Wu could absorb primordial energy to resurrect a powerful demon named Rin Rin. However, this ritual required hundreds of human sacrifices. Despite the grim necessity, Zhou Wu had no other choice and obeyed Feng Mu's command. Meanwhile, after crossing the Wanchuan River, an unsettling reaction began to take hold. The demonic aura inside Shinji surged more rapidly toward his heart. Realizing this, So-chong and Su-air decided to take a brief rest. At that moment, the sound of a harp reached their ears, guiding them toward a nearby inn. Inside the inn, they encountered its owner, a woman named Lee, who was playing a sorrowful melody. Intrigued by the melancholic tune, Su-air inquired about its meaning. At that moment, Lee explained that the song originated from the Wanchuan River, depicting the tale of the soul ferryman of the Chua River. According to legend, only the dead could meet the ferryman, unless they found the one object the ferryman had been searching for all this time. After Lee welcomed Xianji and the others, she went to see Zhou Wu to inform him that she had fulfilled his request. However, Zhou Wu remained unsatisfied. He demanded that Lee take Xianji to the underground palace and lead him to the soul transport dock. With no other choice, Lee had to comply with Zhou Wu's wishes. A while later, after Xianji had fallen asleep, Su-air took out a jade piece that reminded her of her parents. As she drifted into slumber, a masked man suddenly appeared, holding a jade identical to hers. At that moment, Xianji woke up and immediately pursued the masked man. Su-air, seeing that the stranger possessed the same jade as hers, quickly followed after them. Though they both tried to confront the masked man, their skills were far inferior to his. Soon, Lee and So-chong arrived. Unexpectedly, the masked man warned Xianji and his companions that their current abilities would only lead to death if they ventured into the Ghost Valley. However, Su-air was more concerned about the jade in the masked man's possession. To answer her curiosity, the masked man challenged Su-air to remove his mask. As they exchanged blows, it became clear that he was holding back his attacks. Finally, Su-air braced herself to face his direct strike, forcing the masked man to withdraw his attack. Upon seeing the sword he wielded, Su-air began to suspect that the masked man might be her father. Yet, he only stated that the answer she sought would be found beyond the Wanchuan River. Following this encounter, Lee became curious about why Xianji and the others were heading to the Ghost Valley. Upon realizing that Lee knew about the Chua River, Xianji revealed his circumstances. To prevent an impending catastrophe, he needed the half-step book written by Buddha, also known as the Celestial Book. The scene then revealed how Su-air met So-chong and Xianji was unveiled. At that time, Su-air had lived in the mountains all her life and had never met her parents. One day, she received a letter stating that her parents were connected to the Celestial Book. After reading it, Su-air descended from the mountains and coincidentally encountered Xianji and So-chong, who were searching for the book as well. The reason Xianji shared the story of the Celestial Book was that he was convinced Lee knew something about the Chua River. Observing the desolate village, the way Lee ran an inn while playing music, it seemed as though she was waiting, more precisely, luring someone in. In the end, Lee revealed that the Chua River in the underworld was closely linked to the Wanchuan River in the mortal realm. Unexpectedly, the story also revolves around a soul guide who was once known as Lien Sang. In the past, during a time when Lee was struggling, Lien Sang, her childhood friend, helped her by selling a painting in the city of Wanchuan. One night, as Lien Sang sought shelter in a temple, he stumbled upon a hidden passage. Following the secret path, he eventually came across a coffin. Curiosity led him to open it, and inside, he discovered a painting of a woman. At that moment, a beautiful woman named Rin Rin appeared before him. She then solemnly declared that she would marry whoever had released her from the painting. Not long after, Lien Sang brought Rin Rin to the city of Wangsu, and they lived happily together. However, their joy was short-lived. Rumors of Rin Rin's beauty spread far and wide, drawing crowds to Lien Sang's home, eager to catch a glimpse of her. Among those who came was Zhou Wu, who had been sent by Feng Mu to locate Xianji. Zhou Wu, a man of firm principles, recognized Rin Rin as a supernatural being and warned her against mingling with humans. If she refused to heed his warning, he vowed to take action against her. One day, Zhou Wu witnessed Lien Sang purchasing an ornamental hairpin for Rin Rin. Seeing this, he adjusted his approach and put a plan into motion. That night, Lien Sang found himself recalling Zhou Wu's words. Reluctantly, he met with Li and made a drastic decision to marry her in hopes that Rin Rin would leave him. Before Lien Sang could proceed with this plan, Zhou Wu revealed that he had taken Rin Rin hostage. Zhou Wu then proposed a deal. He would release Rin Rin if Lien Sang agreed to part ways with her. To ensure Rin Rin's safety, Lien Sang told her that they could not be together because she was not human. Despite this, Rin Rin arrived at his wedding, consumed by anger. In a final act of cruelty, Lien Sang told her that he had never truly loved her. Devastated, Rin Rin was momentarily stunned, until in that vulnerable moment, Zhou Wu struck, stabbing her from behind. As Rin Rin lay dying, regret finally consumed Lien Sang. He tried to offer her the ornamental hairpin as proof of his love, but it was too late. Rin Rin was sealed back into the painting. Desperate, Lien Sang turned to Zhou Wu, demanding that he keep his word and free her. However, Zhou Wu remained firm. Supernatural beings were still supernatural beings, and it was his duty to eliminate them. Deeming Lien Sang useless now, Zhou Wu killed him and returned Rin Rin's painting to the coffin. Upon his death, Lien Sang found himself at the shores of a Chor River, where souls awaited passage to the afterlife. However, he refused to reincarnate, weighed down by the regrets of his past life. The soul guide, seeing his anguish, offered him an alternative. He could take on the role of a soul guide himself. However, he was warned that one day in the mortal world equated to 1,000 years in the realm of the Chor River. Despite the consequences, Lien Sang accepted the offer, choosing to take over the soul guide's duty. In the present, Li devised a plan to lure Xianji, hoping to retrieve Rin Rin's painting and deliver it to Lien Sang, who had now become a soul guide. Not long after, Xianji, Su Er, So Chong, and Li set out to retrieve Rin Rin's painting. However, the Tomb Guardians began to rise, determined to stop them. Realizing that the Guardians could regenerate, Xianji chose not to fight them. After some time, they arrived at the underground palace, but the relentless pursuit of the Guardians forced Xianji to stay behind with So Chong to hold them off, while Su Er and Li searched for an escape route. When Su Er and Li managed to reconnect a broken bridge, several Guardians turned their attention toward Li. Seeing this, Xianji rushed to protect her. Though Li was able to push one of the Guardians off, she was dragged along as it grabbed her leg. Fortunately, Xianji caught her hand just in time. Li, however, apologized for putting Xianji and the others in danger. She had no choice but to do this to end Lien Sang's long wait. At that moment, the Guardian, still clinging to her, plunged a blade into Li. Realizing she could not be saved, Li handed Xianji a hairpin and pleaded with him to put an end to Lien Sang's waiting by showing him Rin Rin's painting. With a heavy heart, Xianji took the hairpin and let go of her hand, causing Li to fall alongside the Guardian. Just then, the head of the Tomb Guardians launched an attack on Xianji from behind. Knowing that the Guardian before him was immortal, Xianji chose to drag it down into the abyss with him. As they plummeted, they engaged in fierce combat, until the demonic aura began consuming Xianji's heart. In an instant, Xianji emerged, now shrouded in dark energy, effortlessly slaughtering the remaining Tomb Guardians. Though he almost turned on Su Er and So Chong, Xianji managed to suppress the darkness within him and came to a halt. Elsewhere, Zhou Wu, who had begun absorbing human souls, was growing even stronger. Returning to the underground palace, where So Chong, witnessing Xianji's brief struggle against the demonic aura, hesitated and asked Su Er if she would be willing to kill Xianji should the need arise. Apparently, he feared that if the heavenly book failed to suppress the darkness, Xianji might awaken the ancient devil god. Despite this, Su Er firmly believed in Xianji. Hearing her unwavering trust, So Chong chose to believe in him as well, confident that one day Xianji would become a great sect leader, with So Chong as his deputy. Later, after So Chong had fallen asleep, Xianji regained consciousness. Overhearing Su Er's and So Chong's conversation, he decided to leave them behind. Revealing that the demonic aura was dangerously close to consuming his heart, Xianji admitted that he could not suppress it much longer. Even so, Su Er reassured him that the heavenly book would help contain the darkness, allowing him to fulfill his destiny as sect leader, supported by both her and So Chong. However, once his companions were fast asleep, Shinji made up his mind to seek the heavenly book alone, for this was his fate to bear. Before Shinji arrived at the Chor River dock, he was intercepted by Zhou Wu. Knowing his actions, Shinji saw him as nothing more than a traitor. However, for Zhou Wu, everything he did was to avenge a grudge that had lasted for 20 years. It was revealed that Zhou Wu had been reduced to nothing more than Feng Mu's obedient pet. Worse still, Feng Mu had taken Zhou Wu's mother hostage, leaving him with no choice but to submit. After gaining control over the primordial spirit, Zhou Wu saw an opportunity to eliminate both Shinji and Feng Mu to claim the position of sect leader for himself. Their opposing ideals left no room for compromise, and so the battle began. During the fight, Shinji struggled against Zhou Wu's newfound strength. Just when he was cornered, Su Er and So Chong arrived to aid him. Through their combined efforts, they managed to defeat Zhou Wu. However, the battle was far from over. In a desperate move, Zhou Wu sacrificed his primordial spirit, using hundreds of souls to resurrect Rin Rin. This sacrifice made Rin Rin unimaginably powerful. To prevent the worst from happening, Shinji urged his allies to destroy the painting before Rin Rin could be fully revived. Su Er, however, hesitated. If the painting were destroyed, Shinji would lose his chance to meet the spirit guide and cross the Chor River. Eventually, Shinji and So Chong's attempt failed and Rin Rin awakened. Her overwhelming power easily sent Shinji flying. In that moment, his hairpin fell to the ground. As Rin Rin prepared to kill So Chong, Su Er quickly revealed the hairpin, a token of the past shared between Lien Sang and Rin Rin. Despite the item, Rin Rin's deep-seated hatred was not so easily quelled. Enraged, she unleashed her fury. Understanding the danger, Su Er bravely launched an attack, but her intentions were quickly discovered by Rin Rin. Fatally wounded, Su Er collapsed. To save her, Shinji dripped his own blood onto the Tianxi sword, awakening its demonic aura. Their fierce battle caused the altar to crumble, sending them all plummeting toward the Chor River dock. As Shinji lay weakened from the battle, Lien Sang finally appeared. The moment Rin Rin saw him, her rage began to subside. When Lien Sang presented the hairpin, memories of their beautiful past resurfaced. Overcome with emotion, he gently placed the hairpin back on her, a silent confession that his love for her had never faded. With his long-awaited reunion finally fulfilled, Lien Sang found peace. Meanwhile, Shinji and his two companions prepared to cross the Chor River. And with that, the story comes to an end. Moral lesson from the story: if you ever unleash an ancient evil, make sure to stab it deep enough. Half-hearted efforts just make things worse. Also, if your sword starts whispering to you, it's either cursed or giving bad life advice.